Have you ever wondered how it's possible to give so much to everyone around you and still feel invisible inside? It happens so quietly that you don't even see it coming. In the beginning, everything feels fine, more than fine. It feels warm. It feels beautiful. You feel proud to be the one others can rely on. You show up. You listen. You help. You understand what others are feeling even when they don't say a word. You fix things before anyone asks. You smooth out the rough edges. You give comfort. You carry burdens. You do it out of love, out of kindness, out of habit. You become the friend who always answers the call, the partner who forgives first, the sibling who makes peace, the employee who anticipates problems and solves them before anyone notices. You become the one who knows what others need, even when they don't know themselves. And you give, not because someone made you, but because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel strong. It makes you feel useful. It makes you feel like you matter. But slowly, almost silently, something starts to shift. You feel it first in your energy. You're more tired than you used to be, even after a full night's sleep. You laugh, but the laughter doesn't reach as deep. You smile, but something feels missing behind it. You keep showing up, but it takes more out of you. And you start to realize that the appreciation you once received, the thank yous, the small gestures, the warm smiles, have begun to disappear. In their place is expectation. What was once noticed is now assumed. Your helpfulness is no longer seen as a gift. It's become your job. Your kindness is no longer something special. It's just who you're expected to be. And when you hesitate, even for a moment, the silence speaks louder than words. People look at you with surprise, sometimes with disappointment. You've changed, they say. What happened to you? And just like that, you realize something devastating. Some people weren't loving you. They were loving what you did for them. And that realization breaks something inside you. You start to remember all the times you said, "I'm okay," when you weren't. All the times you stayed up late to help someone else while ignoring your own needs. All the times you picked up the pieces for others while quietly falling apart yourself. You think of the moments you pushed through your own pain just to make someone else comfortable. You didn't do it for recognition. You did it because that's who you believed you were supposed to be. But now you feel empty. You feel invisible. Not because you stopped giving, but because no one ever thought to give anything back. You feel taken for granted, used, drained. And the hardest part is that you don't even know how to stop. You've spent so long being the strong one, the helpful one, the understanding one, that you don't know who you are without that role. You've become a version of yourself that exists only for others. And when you try to pull back just a little, when you try to rest, when you try to say no, the guilt rushes in like a wave. It tells you that you're being selfish, that you're letting people down, that you're not enough unless you're giving something. And that guilt doesn't just come from outside. It lives deep inside you, planted there long ago. Because since childhood, you were taught that love has to be earned. You were told, sometimes with words, sometimes through silence, that being lovable means being useful, being agreeable, being easy to be around, being good. So you learned to smile even when you were sad. You learned to help even when you were tired. You learned to say yes, even when your whole soul was begging you to say no. And every time you were praised for it, it reinforced the idea that your worth is in your giving. And now, you've become someone who doesn't know how to rest, someone who doesn't know how to just be, someone who keeps giving, not because you always want to, but because you're afraid of what will happen if you stop. Will they still want you? Will they still stay? Will they still see you? So you keep going. You give before people even ask. You say, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." Even when your heart feels heavy, you offer your time, your energy, your love, even when there's nothing left in your own cup. You do it because it feels like love, because being needed feels like safety, because you don't want to feel forgotten. But needing to be needed is a quiet kind of loneliness. It's a life built on approval, on small scraps of attention, on tiny moments of feeling useful. And sometimes, people begin to notice your pattern. They see that you always say yes, that you always show up, that you never ask for anything, and they begin to lean on you more and more. Not always with intention, not always with malice, but because they know you'll never say no. They know you'll always be there. And before you realize it, your life stops being yours. It belongs to the needs of others. You're always responding, always reacting, always explaining yourself. You feel like you have to answer every message, return every call, show up for every crisis, because you've convinced yourself that being unavailable means being uncaring, and you don't ever want to be seen as uncaring. But not every message needs a reply. Not every problem is yours to solve. Not every emotion belongs to you. You've carried too much. You've absorbed too much. You've made yourself too accessible, and it's costing you more than you can afford. It's costing you your peace, your presence, your sense of self. And the people who've grown used to your giving, they often don't know how to handle it when you stop, when you say, "Not this time," when you don't answer, when you set a boundary. They feel the absence of your energy like a loss. But what they don't see is that your absence is actually your survival. It's the part of you that's finally saying, "I can't do this anymore." And that's where the heartbreak begins. Because when you stop showing up the way people are used to, some of them walk away. Some of them call you selfish. Some of them try to guilt you back into your old patterns. You've changed. You used to care more. I guess I can't count on you anymore. And those words hit hard. They hit because they echo your deepest fear, that if you're not constantly giving, you're not worthy of love. But you are. You are worthy even when you're quiet, even when you're still, even when you're not fixing anyone's life but your own. You are enough, even when you're not performing. And it's okay to let go of the people who only stayed because of what you gave. Let them go. Let the relationships that depended on your exhaustion fall apart. Because real love doesn't demand your burnout. Real love doesn't disappear when you rest. Real love doesn't fade when you stop overextending yourself. You are not here to be a permanent source of comfort for everyone else. You are not here to fix what you didn't break. You are not here to keep proving your worth through your sacrifice. You are allowed to exist outside of your usefulness. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to say no without apologizing. You are allowed to be seen for who you are, not just for what you give. And if that scares some people, let it. Because the ones who truly love you will stay. They will celebrate your rest. They will respect your no. They will hold space for your silence. They will see your soul, not just your service. And most of all, you must learn to stay with yourself, to love yourself not for how much you do, but simply because you are, because you exist, because your presence matters even when it's quiet, even when it's unseen. You don't need to be everything to everyone. You don't need to carry the weight of every person's emotion. You don't need to stretch yourself thin just to make people stay. The love you've been giving to everyone else, you deserve it too. You deserve to wake up and not feel afraid of disappointing someone. You deserve to sit in your own company and feel peace. You deserve relationships where you are allowed to be human, not perfect, not endlessly giving, just human. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You've already done enough, more than enough. And the people who don't see that, let them walk away, because now it's your turn. It's your turn to be seen. It's your turn to be held. It's your turn to breathe without guilt. It's your turn to choose yourself, fully, completely, without apology. And in that choice, in that sacred return to your own soul, you will find the love that never fades, the love that never leaves, the love that was always yours, your own. You don't have to answer to everything. You don't have to explain yourself every time someone asks a question. You don't have to react just because someone provokes you. You don't have to defend yourself when someone throws a comment that hurts. You don't have to give your energy to people who are only trying to take from you. Every time you let yourself get pulled into a situation that doesn't deserve your attention, you lose a little more of your peace. Every time you feel the need to explain, to prove, to justify, to argue, to convince, your energy leaks out. It disappears into conversations that go nowhere, into people who don't want to understand, and into situations that only exist to steal your calm. Slowly, you become more tired, more anxious, more scattered. And then you start to wonder why life feels so heavy, why you're so emotionally exhausted, even when nothing big is happening. But it's not the big things draining you. It's the small moments, over and over again, when you give too much of yourself away. Some people don't want peace. They want reactions. They want to control your emotions because it gives them a sense of power. When you always respond, when you always explain, when you always defend yourself, you give them what they want. But when you choose to stay silent, when you stop engaging, when you stop trying to fix how others see you, the game ends. At first, they might get louder. They might get more aggressive. They might try even harder to pull you in. But eventually, they feel it. They no longer have access to your emotions. And that's when you begin to take back your power. That's when they either stop or fade away. Either way, you win. But it's not easy to stop reacting, especially when you've lived your whole life feeling responsible for how others feel. When you've been trained to please, to smooth things over, to fix what's broken, it feels wrong to say nothing. It feels wrong to walk away. It feels wrong to not respond. But silence is not weakness. Silence is not giving up. Silence is not coldness. Silence is the space where your healing begins. Silence is what protects your soul. Silence is what brings your power back to you. It is not your job to be available to everyone all the time. It is not your job to explain your decisions to people who only want to control you. It is not your job to answer every message or engage in every argument. You do not need to carry the weight of everyone else's opinions on your back. You are allowed to say nothing. You are allowed to not show up. You are allowed to protect your peace without guilt. When you stop reacting, something beautiful starts to happen. Your mind gets quieter. Your body feels lighter. You no longer feel like you have to be on edge, waiting to defend yourself. You no longer feel the need to keep everyone happy at the cost of your own well-being. You begin to feel safe inside yourself again. How much you were bending, how much of yourself you were sacrificing for people who never once gave that much to you. You begin to understand that you don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to explain your boundaries. You can just live. You can just be. But even when you stop reacting emotionally, you'll still have to deal with certain people and situations. You can't disappear completely. You still have to live in the world, work with others, handle responsibilities. So how do you stay calm without being cold? How do you protect your peace without running away? This is where you learn how to interact with others from a place of stillness. It means you can respond, but without emotion. You can talk, but without over-explaining. You can say what's needed, but without giving your soul away. This is what it means to live in your calm power. It's not about isolating yourself completely. It's about not letting others take your energy unless you choose to give it. Someone might criticize you, accuse you, try to pressure you, but instead of reacting, you simply say, "I hear you. I'll think about it." Nothing more. No justifying. No defending. No emotional weight. Or someone might make a passive-aggressive comment like, "You never call me anymore." And you just say, "Yeah, I've been busy." Simple. Clear. No guilt. No 5-minute explanation about your schedule. You're not going to fall into that trap anymore. Or maybe your partner tries to start an old argument, tries to pull you into a fight. You just say, "We've already talked about this. I'm not going back there." No yelling. No emotion. No repeating yourself. Or maybe a friend wants to start a debate just to get you upset. You say, "I'm not getting into that." Or you say nothing at all. You stay calm. You don't react. You keep your energy to yourself. And little by little, the people who were used to feeding off your reactions will see that the game is over. You're not playing anymore. You're not available for drama. The truth is, people can only control you if they can control your emotional reactions. But when you stop reacting, you become solid, grounded, steady. You no longer move at the pull of someone else's strings. What exhausts you isn't the action. It's the emotional weight you carry during it. It's the stories you tell yourself, the guilt you feel, the pressure to please, the fear of being misunderstood. That's what drains you. Not the task itself, but the meaning you attach to it. So stop giving that weight away. Stop giving that power away. When you respond from a calm place, with no emotional charge, the power returns to you. And then, something else happens. When you stop showing up to perform for everyone else, when you stop trying to be everything to everyone, life gets quiet. The noise dies down. The constant demands slow down. Some people leave. Some people fade away. Some people get upset. But the chaos starts to disappear. And in that quiet, something sacred happens. You begin to come back to yourself. You begin to hear your own voice again. Not the voice of guilt, not the voice of fear, not the voice of people who want something from you. Your true voice, the one that was buried beneath all the noise, the one that's been waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it. And as you hear it, you start to realize how much of your life was lived on autopilot. How many of your choices were made to make others comfortable? How many of your opinions were borrowed? How many of your dreams weren't even your own? And suddenly, you stop wanting to explain yourself. You stop wanting to convince others. You stop needing to be understood. You just want peace. You want truth. You want real connection, not obligation. Real respect, not performance. Real love, not guilt. You start building a life that's real, a life that fits your soul, not just your history. You stop chasing people. You stop begging to be seen. You stop waiting for permission. You begin to rebuild everything from a place of wholeness. And in that silence, you understand. This isolation isn't loneliness, it's homecoming. But silence also reveals the truth about your relationships. It shows you who respects your space and who only wanted your energy. People who truly care about you will respect your distance. They won't guilt you. They won't pressure you. They won't create drama. They'll understand. They'll stay present. Even if they give you space, they'll return without blame, without lists, without demands. But the ones who only saw you as a source of attention or validation, they won't like your silence. They'll try to provoke you, or they'll disappear. And you'll see that their presence in your life was never about love. It was about what they could take from you. And that realization will hurt. You'll grieve. You'll feel the sting of the truth. But you'll also feel free. Because you'll no longer be holding on to people who were never really holding on to you. You'll see the patterns. The ones who only show up when they need something. The ones who disappear when you stop performing. The ones who get angry when you set a boundary. And you'll stop blaming yourself for their reaction. You'll stop explaining yourself to keep them around. You'll stop holding onto connections just because of the past. You'll understand that love doesn't suffocate. Friendship doesn't pressure. Real relationships don't require you to abandon yourself. They survive space. They survive silence. They survive truth. And then you face another shift. You stop just reacting less. You start redefining what you allow. You stop needing to explain why you say no. You just say it. No is a full sentence. I'm not available. Period. Not today. Period. That doesn't work for me. Period. You don't explain. You don't defend. You don't soften your truth to make others more comfortable. You don't give them space to argue. Because you've realized, when people respect you, they accept your no. When they don't, they try to push through your boundaries. And those are not the people you owe access to. You'll be tempted to feel bad. You'll wonder if you're being selfish. But the truth is, you've already done enough. You've tried. You've explained. You've bent. You've made yourself small to keep the peace. And now it's time to protect your peace instead. That's not selfish. That's self-respect. Letting go of certain relationships might feel wrong at first. You'll remember the good times, the history. You'll wonder if you're making a mistake. But if a relationship survives only when you erase yourself, It's not love. It's control. If your presence is only welcomed when you stay silent, that's not connection. It's convenience. So let go, not with bitterness, but with peace. Let what no longer fits fall away. Let what no longer serves your growth die. And in that empty space, something new will bloom. New peace, new relationships, new versions of you. Ones that don't demand your exhaustion. Ones that don't ask you to sacrifice your truth. Ones that honor your soul. From now on, remember this. Every time you say yes just to avoid conflict, you betray yourself. Every time you smile when you want to cry, every time you say it's okay when it's not, every time you put their comfort above your truth, you lose a piece of yourself. But now you know better. The silence you once feared wasn't loneliness. It was your healing. It was your power returning home. The people who disappeared didn't reject you. You released them. The space they left behind isn't emptiness. It's the beginning of your real life. Your energy is no longer up for grabs. Your time is no longer free. Your attention is no longer something others can demand. Your presence is sacred now, and only those who honor that will receive it. The rest will fall away, not because you pushed them, but because you finally stood still. And now ask yourself honestly, what relationship are you still holding on to just because you're afraid of being alone? Be truthful. The truth may sting once, but the lie, that one will hurt every single day you keep living it. Choose truth. Choose peace. Choose you. Enough is enough.